Michael, Israel stepped up its campaign against Hamas in Gaza. Ground troops have re-entered the centre and the south of the Strip after, of course, you had airstrikes started up again a couple of days ago. It would seem that this ceasefire is well and truly done, or is the objective here to put pressure on Hamas to release the hostages and then somehow we'll be back in a ceasefire again?
Well, they gave them 2 weeks after the first phase of the ceasefire, and Hamas didn't respond to the American insistence that the hostages be released. Despite what the ABC and SBS are broadcasting horror propaganda about civilians being killed every night, this was directed military operation at the Hamas leadership, many of whose names and pictures are published online. Even Matt Doran from the ABC could find them. But the hostages must be released. They're the objective of this military operation. And the context is, Caleb, the Houthis are on the run from the Americans. Hezbollah has collapsed. Assad disappeared from Syria, and the Iranians know they're in the gun. So I think it's a completely different time and space for looking at what the Israelis are doing in Gaza.
And of course, Kosher, Trump's ramped up his rhetoric again about unleashing hell, essentially, on Hamas if they don't hand these hostages over. How far could this go?
That is always a risk when things escalate. That is the one thing predictable about these war zones, is that they are unpredictable. Trump seems to prefer either the rhetoric or dropping bombs from afar. He's certainly not shy about that. Again, there's a faction of his base that doesn't like that, but he has done that, just did it recently, did it in the first term. So I think that sort of thing he is more willing and likely to do. If it starts getting into more precision operations, boots on the ground, there's just a lot of resistance to that, and that goes against generally his philosophy as well. So I think we're probably a far way away from that. It'll be more helping Israel diplomatically, militarily, financially, and maybe doing some airstrikes in targeted ways.
Now, Michael, I discussed on Tuesday the story of Kevin Yam. He's an Australian citizen who lived in Hong Kong for about 20 years. He was a democracy activist over there, of course, once the CCP came and took the joint back. He's had a $200,000 bounty put on his head, most likely, of course, by the CCP. And these letters have been sent around Melbourne to people saying, if you know where he is, essentially kidnap him and bring him to us. Well, Yam has written today about this in the Nine papers, saying it shows China's nefarious willingness to stoop to exploiting perceived fissures in multicultural Australia's social fabric. And he's quite right. But this is so brazen, Michael, that a letter, an anonymous letter, or letters, would be sent out of Hong Kong to people in Melbourne saying this man has supposedly committed crimes in Hong Kong. We'll give you 200 grand if you turn him into us.
Oh, I was having dinner with him and an ambassador the other night. He's not a staid, but he's a regular commercial lawyer. I mean, he's no sort of revolutionary bomb thrower, but he supported democracy in Hong Kong. There's an even worse case in your own hometown, Caleb, in Adelaide, where some other democracy activist who's transited to Adelaide has been had letters written to mosques saying that he's supporting Israel and they should arrest him as well. I mean, this is, you used the right word, brazen. This is incredible that a regime like Beijing thinks that they can interfere in Australia and arrest people who are Australian citizens or interfere in our civil life. It's a disgrace. And when even Penny Wong raises objections to this, the Chinese have the chutzpah to say that we're interfering in their internal affairs. People should see this in the context of the Chinese Navy circumnavigating Australia. Despite Albo's talk about our good relations with China, they certainly don't look at it in the same way, and they're pressuring us all the time, including internally with these outrageous activities against good commercial lawyers like Kevin Yam.
Well, at least the handsome boy gets a good reception when he goes to China, eh? Kosher Michael, thank you for your time.